through this paradigm of setting up these stuff like this. Okay, now it's because we want to set up the stops in the um before every test runs, like, or how do I put it, like before uh more like before each test runs. So in that case we'll be having something like this. Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to be lazy and wait for this guy to suggest me something, which it did, but not what I want. So I'm just going to say before each. So before each of the test runs, we want to set up the stubs there. So that's in that point, like in that life cycle, we want to kind of set up this stuff. So yeah, we'll kind of try to set up. Boy, sorry, it seems my system is freezing. So yeah, I'm just going to start with the mailer service, and to do that, I need the stub. So like this. So and then what's it going to resolve to? I'm going to set like what I want it to resolve to. So in this case, it's going to resolve to uh, what's even this thing supposed to resolve to? I don't know. I just say okay, yeah, it's a service, and we are using the create method. So if I go up here, when we call this, like we set up this mailer service and internal service, right? And after we set it up here, we disallow external access. Just after we did that, right when we are sending, we grab that service and then we call the create method from the service. So basically, it's in that case that's what we are doing. So synon dot stub dot so actually I think I'm making a silly mistake, which is the fact that I assumed that I'm supposed to do it this way. So I have to kind of create an object. So the object is where I'm going to store the methods that I used. So in this case, I have uh, to resolve this, right? And in the process of resolving this, I could make it empty because I don't really care, and or I could put in similar data, like what is being what we are passing here. So we are passing like the mail options, which contain from, to, subject, and why is it containing from again? That I've taken care of from here. Obviously I've done that. So what's I thought I even removed this. Sorry, my bad. This shouldn't exist. We don't need to set from anymore. We have set it as a default option here while configuring the mailer. So it's like a default. So we've set from there. So I don't need to come here because it's basically practically the same thing I'm doing. So I don't see the need. Okay, here we go. So I have this stuff which contains two subject and HTML. So I can decide to put that same thing here, or I can just decide to, okay, this is like what it resolves to actually. Let's see. Causes the stop to return a promise which resolves to the provided value. So in this case, what is this resolving to? We really don't care, because as you can see, we are not collecting back, the response. So we don't really care. So I'm just going to leave this empty. Then another thing I want to stop is the hooks, because maybe I don't know. So I don't think I need all this stuff, so I'm just going to do it this way. So this resolves to an empty object. basically because I don't really care about what is in the object. I could care, at least if I hover on this, you would see that we have this sent message info, which if we go into send message, yeah, we can't really get access to it until we obviously figure out how to kind of, let me see. Oops, there's only send message transport here. Do we have node mailer? SMTP transport. Okay, let me see if I can find that. So, oh, I even saw that send message info now. Sent. Oh, sorry. So I just want to see what is in it. Obviously, it is resolving to any, so it's not absolutely worth it. So yeah, there we go. Now here we've stopped this guy. So how stop is sounding like stop. Yeah, we kind of stop him from being real. We make him fake. Okay, then I can set up the queue stop. So in this case, it's also supposed to be an object, because I think when the queue resolves, if I go to the queue that we set up here, we initialize the queue here, I can decide to check what is the things that the queue gives us access to. We have add bulk. So, and from my own understanding, in this place, when we create stuff, we are adding. So in that case, we need the add. We need to stop the add. And then I think there's also a place where we get jobs from the queue, so which is find. So we get jobs from the queue. We also need to stop these two. So I think those are the only two functions we use. In another scenario, you might want to maybe use add bulk. Maybe you have multiple jobs you want to kind of process at the same time. You can use add bulk. In our case, we just need those two. So I can stop this by adding add. So for this add, as usual, we'll still use this stop guy, and it's going to resolve to, let me see, are we using what it resolves to here? Yeah, we take the job. Okay, sorry, wrong one. Yeah, we take the job, get the ID, status, and then so it's resolving to, like, we have this gets, we have this ID, we have this get states, and then we have this data. So those are the three things we need. So in this case, I'm just going to be okay, ID, job 1 2 3, right? So I think I would like to install feathers. Faker.js. So I think this the stuff. Hopefully I'm correct. Okay, doesn't exist. That means that should be Faker.js. Faker.js. Still doesn't exist. Okay, that means that should be Faker. Okay, that worked. And so let me import it. No suggestion. So I get this error. Oh. Hopefully I've been recording. Oh yes, I've been. So, oh, my bad. Okay, I completely missed it. So I'm going to import this. Or I'm going to copy that and install it. I'm saying I'm saying what I do not like. Like I'm saying what I don't even know what I'm saying. Okay, so yeah, I can just then get faker.js this way. So think um, I think I need to put this around it, and then we have a good faker boy. So now I can be much more wicked and be like, okay, oh god, this guy and his suggestions. So it's only boolean that exists here. That should be around identity. Is there no identity here? Oh, there's identity. Or am I saying? Seems I'm making a mistake. Okay, let me say string. Yo, I saw no ID now. Nice. Nano ID. Nano ID. Nano ID. I would like to pass a mean and a max. So, mean 12. Max 16. So, next thing on the list, we want to set up name. Sorry, not name. More like data. And then finally get state. So here we can stop this to like, so I think get state is it's like a promise, so we can just stop it to waiting. Okay, I'm getting this error because of course we've set what our stub ought to look like here. So I think it's complaining that something is not correct. Shall we see? Weird. This is the weirdest thing I've seen. Let me just see if it's importable. So I don't know if that's gonna work yet, but let's keep going. So get jobs. So I think we can just resolve it to this. Yet again we get another complaint. So what's the issue now? at this point, I think I'm not going to follow this guy anymore. So first of all, I'm going to undo everything he just suggested and keep to what I want to do. So obviously he's still complaining, so I'm just going to, let me first add the get jobs. And yep, he's still complaining, so I'm just going to say as any and as any, and then I complain. So I'm getting this thing that says, I think the issue is we are sort of packing the entire class. So meaning this guy is assuming that we should return, that this stub should at least return a queue, if that makes sense. Should be like the we should have like an instance of this queue as what is being returned, which is the problem. So what if I say any here too? That works, but gosh, we are really spoiling things with any everywhere. But okay, that works at least. Let's see if it still works when we test it out. So now we should have the next one, which is the worker stub. I can't remember exactly how many stuff we use, but I know we use on. So since we use on, I can just as well do this. Obviously another complaint, so I'm just going to put any again and then put any. And for the queues, I'll just make it this. So, and I think I actually needed to stop the service and the app. I don't know. I ought to stop it. Meaning that this app we have here should go. So I can stop the app I'll be using. So I'll just have this app and then have it set to partial app application. And the reason I put partial there was because of course we are not stopping everything inside this application, so it's not going to give us an error. In this case, maybe I can even apply the same technique here, partial, and see if I remove this any from this stub here, whether it's still going to work. Nice, we catch it. So I think I can do it for every one of them. So that way I can remove any, okay, not from that one, from this one. Shouldn't get a complaint, and I can remove any from this one, and we should still not get a complaint. But if I do remove any from this, I'm going to get a complaint on the inside. Wait, I did it. Wow. So what are these? I did. What are this? I did. Okay, so there we go. Now we need to kind of, you know, set up the app stub itself. So for the app stub, we'll just be having this. We have gets, which obviously we are using. Wait, we are not using get. Oh, sorry. I was looking at the wrong thing completely. So get as in app.get. So you know we do have use app.get here to get email and stuff. So yeah, so in this case we are stopping get. So when we are stopping get, we'll be having synon.stub. Then we have this calls fake. I think we have call fake here. So we'll kind of set up like a fake function. So it's going to be like once once you call this get method, it's going to call this fake mock function that we created, and then for this function we're just going to say we're just going to do this. I think I don't want this, I'll use null instead here. So basically, if the key is Redis, we want to return the mock config Redis because we've set that up. If it's email, we want to return email, otherwise just return none. So I think that should make sense, and then we can go on to set up use because we also use that. And for this case, we just have to stop use. We don't care like what's the case is this time. And then we need to set up the service stop too. And for this case, we should return the mailer service stop. So, and this is the suggestion that Copilot gave us, but we can do it in a much simpler way. We have these returns, so we can pass returns and then just return this directly. So that way we are saying that, okay, we make this stop to return this guy. So what we are doing now is, normally when you call this app.service, you can use it to access a particular service. But in this case, we are forcing it to we are creating like a stub that returns the mailer service stub all the time. So I hope that makes sense. So yeah, we have this for our app, and I think what's next? Are we done? Oh, service. So we need to create the service instance. So for this case, we need, what options are we passing to it? I think I need to import that service option. Good. So in this case, I'll just pass app and just say app as application, then pass the config as mock config, that shouldn't fail, then finally pass the templates directory as mock template directory. So that's the option, and then we can stop the constructor because obviously we know that this service is going to perform some stuff whereby it's going to initialize the queue, initialize all those the worker and blah blah blah. So we want to tell the service this time that, hey guy, you're not going to initialize what we don't want you to initialize. So we are taking full control over everything it does. Now you see, I'm spending so much time on mocking, which is quite the case, and this is important because you don't want to test and have like all these external factors interfering with your tests, and you want to keep your test as fast as possible. So you're basically just testing stuff from, you're testing methods from this service, right? You want to test certain methods whether they work as expected, but you want to ensure that whatever that service depends on are stopped or are mobbed, so that you can have full control over your test. I hope that makes sense. And so we want to stop the constructors. So in this case, we'll just create like queue stop have seen on guy. Okay. ChatGPT, funny guy. Then we'll have the same thing for the worker, and then we'll have the same thing for the event queues. So all those stubs we just created, we are setting them up for, in order to mock whatever goes on like inside the constructor. So in this case will be like, okay, Sinon dot replace require, ouch, do I have to use require? Actually I do have to use it. and then we'll specify queue. We want to require do this. Yeah, hopefully that works. Nice. Then we'll do the same thing for the worker and do the same thing for the event. So I kind of so basically we that same stub, the stubs that we've created so far, we create a new set of like stubs, like all these constructors, queue stub, worker stub, and this, and we make sure that they return those stubs we've created so that kind of uh, we can kind of replace the actual library. So that means as we are importing boolean queue here, as we are importing boolean queue here, right? We are yeah, as we are importing boolean queue here, we are kind of taking that boolean queue library and then stubbing some of the classes so that when we initialize our service, the moment it calls these classes, they are just going to return what we want it to return. So in this case, we'll call uh, service and then just initialize it to this, and I think that should work. So yeah, so yeah, we have a long before each, right, which is quite interesting. Then after each, it's a pity we are not getting any suggestion from this stuff. I don't know why. So because everything's been underlined, so I'm just going to restore everything back to what they were before. So so meaning that at the end of each test, everything that was stopped would have been cleared, so that the next test can start with a fresh, brand new stops. These stops is sounding like stops, but then hope that makes sense. So we are 27 minutes in on this video now. So okay, I think in the next one we'll pick up from here. We managed to stop a lot of things. Hopefully you learn a ton. And yeah, so this is us writing a bunch of stops in this video. So in the next one we'll begin to kind of test out the courier service. And to be honest, unit test, when you're writing unit tests most times, and if you don't have to mock anything, honestly you should be like a happy person because mocking, stubbing, spying are usually the things that are usually tricky for anybody that is new to unit testing. So they are the tricky part. They are the parts that kind of, in fact, sometimes they still confuse me myself because I have to kind of figure out what am I supposed to stop, what is it that I'm supposed to mock, and those kind of things. So it's just important you put that into consideration. So there's something I would like to do. I would kind of like to test what we've done so far. Just hoping we don't get any error. If we're not going through this process of removing the test SQL stuff, migrating, this test should be a lot more faster. So now we are running this, so let's see. Please don't give me an error. Please don't give me an error. Oops, I'm actually going to get an error. Yeah, so I just saw that I was going to get an error, and that was because of this. Remember we stopped it and we make sure that service returns this mailer service guy. Bad idea. So I think I have to remove this. Let me just remove everything here for now, so you don't have to verify that anymore. And let me try again. So we get for test passing on pending, which is fine. We just removed that one. So and it appears everything seemed to work as expected, which is fine. Okay. So if I wanted to check if that service was registered, right? What I would have checked with. So if I return this back, for example, what I should have checked with now is I don't have to do this anymore. I can just attest whether it exists, and but that is now like a dummy stuff because practically it doesn't. It's that is not a test. That is okay. We can still do it though to just confirm that it was, but the chances like there's a very high chance that it's going to work because we don't have stopped it. So yeah, but then we can do that too, just in case. Oh, it's actually failed. Oh. Nice. Let me see something. I think it's failed and the error is coming from here. We'll check the failure later. So, like, once we start writing our sure proper test. So for now, let me just pull it off. Well, come to think of it, we actually have resolvers that we also need to test here. Well, let me get there. So that makes the end of this episode. Hopefully, in the next episode, we'll begin to write, tests.